Hey, Bills Mafia. We know there's only one topic every day. All Bills, all the time. And now Matt Bovee and Sal Capaccio are going really deep, talking Bills all year long, because it's always game day in Buffalo.
Well, it's an early July edition of It's Always Game Day in Buffalo. Good to see you again, Sal Capaccio, Matt Bovee. I say it like that, Matt. Good to see you again because we are on video. Are you like me where you have to decide, like, what should I be wearing for this podcast? Like in radio, I don't really care. I care what I wear to work. But I'm not like you in TV, man. Like, you got to know, you got to look good on TV. You got to look sharp. You put your makeup on. Radio, dude, I can roll out of bed. Doesn't matter. Just kind of get on. But because I'm on video with you on this podcast, sometimes I get really stressed about it.
Full disclosure, I was just on a walk with my daughter and our dog and my wife, and I was in a t-shirt that is sweaty and gross. So I came back in to do the podcast, and I just put on this polo that I wore yesterday that has not been washed yet. So it's like you wouldn't wear it in public, but on TV, you don't know that it probably just needs to go into the wash. So that's what I'm wearing right now.
Golf or anything like that?
Oh, no, it wasn't like anything gross or anything. It's like totally fine. I could absolutely wear it out. I just had it on. And then you know how like you just like set it to the side and then you're getting ready to do the wash. It was sitting there and I was like, this is much better than the sweaty t-shirt. So I'm going to wear this polo that has little seashells on it.
Well, first of all, I will tell you, my wife makes fun of me because I change clothes more than any human being on earth. I will go through 3 outfits in a day usually.
Oh my gosh, I'm the exact opposite.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time. I'll wake up in the morning, just throw something on maybe from the day before because I just want to get up and we're going to have my coffee, whatever. And then I'll basically throw something on to feel more comfortable to do my radio show from Studio Capaccio, or I'll go into work, after a shower, things like that. I'll come home. I'll feel like I need something a little bit different. Maybe I'm playing golf. Maybe I'm going out somewhere. I feel like I need a different set of clothes, and then might have a little league game. And then after the little league game, I am always changing clothes.
Do you shower a lot during the day?
Nope. Maybe twice, but once in the morning. And then usually on a need to basis, if I did something where I'm sweaty, I will shower. So yeah, I mean, it's shorts, it's t-shirt. I try to, on this particular video cast, like I try to wear something kind of cool or hip that someone might notice. So just want to give a shout out to Del Reed at 26 Shirts. Got the Victory Monday shirt they've been having for a while now. I think this came out like a couple of years ago. There you go. I'll put it up.
Very nice. Very nice.
So had to give a shout out to Del Reed. They had a sale over there, but I like to kind of promote. Hey man, send shirts. People want us to wear shirts. I'll wear a shirt on the video cast here. But yeah, I don't know why. It's just something. My wife's like, "Yep, there he goes, changing clothes again." I tell her all the time, like, "Wow, we have more laundry than anybody." She's like, "That's because you change clothes like 3 times a day and you throw everything right in the laundry."
How often do you do laundry?
Ooh, pretty often. I mean, this time of year with a son who plays a lot of sports, I got to make sure his uniforms are clean. Pretty much every other day, I would say I'm doing a little.
Okay. I would say that right now, specifically, so my wife does most of the laundry for Ellie. So right now, it's just pretty much doing my laundry. I would say I'm probably every 3 to 4 days, the rotation that I'm on. But, Ellie wears onesies during the day, and then she wears little short sleeve onesies at night. So it's not like we have to do something for her every second of every day either. So yeah, I'm in like a kind of easy routine, I guess, as far as I also don't mind laundry. I know a lot of people really, really hate laundry. I just throw it in, go do something for 45 minutes, and then go take it out. It's really not that complicated.
I usually put it on the quick wash cycle. Doesn't take that long, and then throw it in and I don't care about separating the colors. I know you maybe should, but it really this day and age, the way detergent's made, you don't have to worry about that.
Do you mix whites with colors?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Oh, I don't do that. I won't do that. Ooh. I don't know why. For some reason,
towels separately, but that's only because of the material and the lint and stuff. But that's about it.
Does your dryer sing like a cool little song when it's done? Do you have the Samsung one that makes that little noise when you're done?
Something like that, right?
Mine's a little bit different, but yeah, no, you can hear it from all over the house, and you're like, okay, well, it's gonna go. It's go time.
I love it. Well, and I am the laundry person in our house, so I will do it, and I'll fold the laundry. My wife will say to me, "Well, can you fold the laundry?" Yes, I will fold the laundry. She does so much anyway. I'm like, that's kind of my contribution to the household to fold the laundry.
As a former employee at the Niagara Falls Fashion Outlet Mall for 4
Yes.
years at both the Gap outlet and Nike outlet, I think I fold clothes exceptionally well and efficiently. I take pride in that. Like you hand
Oh,
me a graphic tee, a pair
love
of
it.
pants, a polo, muscle memory, baby. Couple tuck in the shoulder,
Okay.
tuck in the elbows, the shoulders, blah blah blah. Just boom,
I got to ask
easy.
you then. All right. Because so I fold Max's shirts. I
Mhm.
just fold them right in half. And then I take the two sleeves that are together, fold that, and just flip everything up. When I do my shirts, though, I take the two sleeves, fold them in, and then I take the body, fold that all in, and then I fold it up twice.
So what I would do is I would take, like if I was wearing a t-shirt or a polo or something, I would fold the sleeves
Yeah.
backwards and
Yeah.
then I would flip it over once. And then depending on what it is, I might do one more flip. So like for a polo, what I would do is I would do two flips. So basically when you put it into the drawer, well, I guess with a polo, I would hang it probably, but you would have basically the collar and then like the upper part, right? Like this part folded and then everything else would be folded behind it.
Wow, you come here for Bills talk and you get laundry and folding techniques from
Yeah.
Sal and Matt here, and it's always game day in Buffalo. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming aboard. The numbers have been great. We want to thank everybody. It's the off season. We're still getting a great response. A lot of new listeners, a lot of new watchers, of course. iTunes, Spotify, Odyssey app, on YouTube at Sal Sports on the YouTube page. So make sure you check that out. Really, really thankful for all of you who've come aboard, and some of you are just finding us for the first time. We're going to keep this thing going, of course, into the regular season. A lot more to get to. It is the off season. Speaking of laundry, the Bills have a lot of new laundry coming in this year to do. Because new jerseys,
Heyo.
new numbers, right? How about that segue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rookie time. Let's talk rookies
Yep.
because I've been kind of thinking a lot about this rookie class that they've brought in and how much of an impact some of these guys can make. So what I wanted to kick around with you today, Matt, was the rookie class and where we see each guy falling.
Yeah.
Because I do think, right, hasn't it really kind of felt like the Bills just haven't used their rookie class a lot the last couple of years, especially
Yes.
last year? There's been a lot of talk about that. But I think I've always said that's more of a circumstance of where the team is, not some overarching philosophy of the organization.
Yeah, it's probably because this team has been in a win now mode for
Yeah.
the last several seasons. So the rookies that they've drafted have not been utilized to the level that I think they should be utilized. Part of that is because the Bills are good. Part of that is, I think, because of the coaching staff. One of the things we saw with the Chiefs last year was their rookie class immediately came in and made an impact, especially in that Super Bowl game. It felt like every big play, besides Mahomes and Kelsey, was coming from a rookie. And you're sitting there wondering, why wasn't Kyer Elam on the field more? Why wasn't James Cook utilized more? Why aren't these guys playing even though they used premium draft picks to get them? Because it's very different than the last couple of years. Josh Allen is, his own thing. Greg Rousseau came in right away and was playing a big chunk of snaps. Dawson Knox, Gabe Davis, those guys came in. They made immediate impacts. Kyer Elam, the verdict's still out. We don't know what that guy's going to do. We don't even know if he's going to start this year. James Cook, I think he's the favorite to be the starting running back this year, but I won't be entirely shocked if Damian Harris or even Latavius Murray takes up a bigger chunk of that workload than we think we're going to get. And I think that might extend into their rookie class for this season. All that being said, though, I think Dalton Kincaid is going to get a lot more run and a lot more play than Elam did.
Mhm.
Not that Rousseau did, because it's different, but I think Dalton Kincaid's going to be on the field a lot for this team.
I agree with you. I think that he is going to get a lot of targets. He's going to be utilized a lot. I've said several times here and on Aaron WGR, there's no way to me the Bills make the kind of investment they did in a tight end in the first round and then not utilize him to their fullest extent. I don't think this is a pick that, oh yeah, we really like the guy and he's going to help us a couple of years from now. I think this is a pick that they really had a specific need and a want more than anything for, and say, we want to do this personnel usage. We want to go to this. They're going to do that. So let's start with Dalton Kincaid. Here's what I want to ask you. For each of these draft picks the Bills had this year, we're going to separate them into 4 different categories. All right. Starter, backup, inactive on game day, meaning they make the roster, but they're probably not getting a jersey unless someone else gets injured.
Yep.
Doesn't make the 53. And that could mean anything, right? Which is they get waived and re-signed to the practice squad, they get traded, whatever. Just doesn't make the 53, probably practice squad bound, we'll see. For backup, I mean, obviously active on game day, just not a normal starter, probably gets some play at some point, around. And this is just in general. Obviously, there's a lot of nuance here. Anything can happen with guys getting injured, and then all of a sudden that changes. But for the general feeling of what these players are, let's start with their first round pick, Dalton Kincaid, who they traded up a couple of spots to grab. Starter, backup, inactive on game day, or doesn't make the 53.
Starter. Now, it's a tight end. So they're going to, it's like starter sort of, because he's going to be on the field a lot. I don't know if he's going to outsnap Dawson Knox. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. But for the sake of the argument, I will say starter. I want to give a shout out to Joe Marino. You've done stuff with Joe in the past. Locked on Bills, does a great job. So he actually tweeted this on Sunday, and I thought it was relevant for the conversation that we were going to have today. He broke down, did you see this tweet about all of the vacated targets the Bills have for this upcoming season?
I did come across it. I didn't dissect it, but I did see it.
So basically, there's 192 available targets for the Bills going into the season, and
based
he breaks
last year's number of passes.
Based on last year's number of passes, based on the players that have left, and then he included 35 targets for the game that did not happen against the Bengals, which is totally justified. So 192 targets. Those have to go somewhere. I think the biggest chunk of those will be going to Dalton Kincaid. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close between Kincaid and probably Deontay Hardy. I would think those are the two guys who pick up the most of those, let's say, 200 targets that the Bills are going to have this year that are available. I don't know what that number is, but I think it certainly puts him in the starter category because I don't think it's unrealistic for Dalton Kincaid to get 70 targets. I think that's fair.
100%. He'll be that involved and more, I believe. I agree with you.
70 is a lot for a rookie tight end. That's a lot.
Yeah, the record for receptions for a Bills rookie tight end. You know what it is?
40. I
have to go look now because I tweeted this out not long ago. I believe it's only 36.
Was it Dawson?
No, Dawson actually had like 28 his rookie year. He was second on the list, but he has the most in like 20 years.
That makes sense.
It's amazing, right? Like rookies. Dalton Kincaid should break the Bills' rookie tight end reception record, right? I mean, I'm going to look it up now. Just you can talk, but I think it's 36. I tweeted about this.
I also think, too, when you look at Dalton Kincaid, we spent so much time earlier in the offseason talking about what the Bills ultimately needed to do to make themselves more competitive. And Odell Beckham's name was thrown around. DeAndre Hopkins' name was thrown around. Drafting a wide receiver in the first round was thrown around. And then the Bills, I don't want to say surprised all of us, but they did something that was a little unconventional, and they used their first-round pick on a tight end. You're not going to do that in the position that you're currently in as a long-term projection. You were doing that to be a weapon for your offense. And I know a lot has been made of the whole weapon for the offense thing. People roll their eyes at it, but I really do think Dalton Kincaid is a pick, not just for the future, but also a pick to make them more dynamic right now. You already have Dawson Knox. You have Dawson Knox on a contract extension. You're making this pick because you think it gives your offense a new layer that you have not had, and you think it does that immediately. There's no way. I know Bean says all the time, we don't draft for need. We draft best player available. I believe that, but there is no way, given the Bills' current roster and the window that they are in, that they are not drafting a player that they believe can make an immediate impact. And I think that also ties back to the Kaiir Elam stuff last year. It's concerning that he wasn't able to get more more involved. I think he will this year, but that remains a big question. Sorry, that's a sidebar though. Go ahead.
No. You're right. It's a really good question. I was right on the numbers. 36 is the rookie tight end receiving record for the Bills for receptions. And that was set in 1983 by Tony Hunter, who they drafted the same year as they drafted Jim Kelly. They took Hunter first and Kelly later in the first round. And then the second most ever is 35 way back in the AFL days, 1962 by Ernie Warlick. And then you have Dawson Knox at 28. And Dawson had 50 targets that rookie season.
I remember the scene from that 30 for 30 with all the quarterbacks getting drafted in the 83 draft and Jim Kelly saying that he didn't want to go to Buffalo. And when they drafted the tight end at 12, he was relieved because he kind of was like, okay, I'm not going to Buffalo. And then I guess his agent told him like, hey, they're up again in 2 picks. And then they ultimately took Jim Kelly. Why was it? Was it because because the Bills were okay with either Kelly or Marino?
I think that's right. I think the way the board was falling, they knew that they could basically get one of the quarterbacks they really liked, and they really wanted a tight end. They liked Tony Hunter. He was a very good tight end out of Notre Dame. He didn't have much of an NFL career. He was eventually traded for Vince Ferragamo, actually, who came over to play quarterback for the Bills when they ultimately didn't sign Jim Kelly, obviously, who went to the USFL. So Dalton Kincaid has a chance here, I think, to break the Bills' rookie tight end record. And whether he actually steps foot on the field for the first snap to be a starter, quote unquote, to me, he's a starter, and I agree with you. Let's go to their second round pick, O'Cyrus Torrance. I'm going to start with this one. I'll say backup. I think he's clearly on the roster. I don't think he starts. I know there's a thought out there he could start over Ryan Bates or even Connor McGovern. I don't see that happening. I don't see it. I see O'Cyrus Torrance as a backup swing guard or maybe just sliding in at one of the spots.
I agree with you that I think he will be a backup, but I think he'll end up starting games. And that's not to say that Connor McGovern won't be as good as he is supposed to be, or that Ryan Bates is going to slip. It's just injuries happen every single year, especially with the interior offensive line. And that doesn't just cover the guards. It also covers Morse, because my guess would be if Morse got injured, they would move Bates over to center, right, and then they would put in O'Cyrus Torrance. Now, having Ike Butker back gives them a little bit more flexibility. I do agree with you that I think for the majority of the games, he will probably be a backup, but I think long-term, there is potential for him to be a starter sooner rather than later. I almost am assuming that he is going to be an every down starter next season, because I think at this point, you don't know what Mitch Morse is going to do, and I think you would probably feel comfortable enough because of the Ryan Bates contract to move him over to center and then move O'Cyrus Torrance to the opposite guard from Connor McGovern. So that's what I think happens long-term. Short-term, though, he'll start the season as a backup.
Yeah, that feels right. And if O'Cyrus Torrance did start at guard, well, it's one of two things. Either, oh my God, he was amazing in camp. And by the way, he was a terrific lineman in the SEC, obviously for Florida. Or the other thing is, boy, they kind of swung and missed on Connor McGovern, or Ryan Bates hasn't lived up to the contract, or obviously an injury could happen to one of them or Mitch Morse. But I don't like any of those options. So if he does start, I hope it's only because obviously he shows them that much. But I get the feeling that of all the spots on the board, that would be a position the Bills aren't eager to put a guy in the starting lineup as a rookie anyway.
No, and I just think, too, it also speaks to the conversation that we're having about how improved the depth is, especially at the offensive line for the Bills. I mean, look at your projected starters. Your Dawkins, McGovern, Morris Bates, Spencer Brown, okay? Nobody would really argue that. Their next level of backups, you've got Brandon Shell, who I believe started 12 games last year, O'Cyrus Torrance, who is a second-round pick, Greg Bance, David Edwards, David Questenberry, and then you go to the next level of guys like Tommy Doyle, Nick Broker, and Ike Butker, and we'll talk about Broker more in a little bit, but those are a lot of names and a lot of people who I think you would feel comfortable with, not starting every week, but starting in a pinch if you had to. And I think of all the guys I mentioned, I know they all play different positions, but you take the top 5, O'Cyrus Torrance is 6. Like, he is next man up.
Yeah, I feel like they've really improved the depth of their offensive line. And, that's a good thing, obviously. O'Cyrus Torrance, to me, a guy that probably will play in the NFL for quite a while. His time probably isn't quite yet for the Buffalo Bills, a team that has a very good team, a good roster that's in a win now mode. All right, the next 3 are going to be really interesting. I mean, we have 4 left to go, but I think we could go a different number of ways on the next 3. So let's do starter, backup, inactive on game day, or doesn't make the 53, more rookies on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo.
So now we get to the 3rd round pick, Dorian Williams. This is where I think we might have a different opinion. So we both said Dalton Kincaid, starter, O'Cyrus Torrance, backup. What would you say for Dorian Williams, the linebacker from Tulane?
Okay, this is between the second and third option for me. I do not think he's starting. Right now, I think Tyrell Dodson has the inside track, and I think Terrell Bernard might even be ahead of him. But I think they like him enough to play him, and he is going to play special teams. So to me, that means he's a backup. I can't see him inactive. I'm going to say backup.
I'm going to say starter.
Woohoo! I love it.
I'm going to say starter. I don't know why. We haven't seen enough of him to base this off of anything. It's just a weird hunch. It's when Brandon Beane drafted him and then came out to us and said, we're going to start him outside. And then the next day it was like, well, actually, maybe not. I wonder if I don't want to say talk to themselves into having a bigger role for this guy, because I just said 10 minutes ago about how they're very, very slow to incorporate their rookies.
Yeah.
I just, for some reason, think that he is certainly not Tremaine Edmonds. I know that. But I wonder if they see the mold and they go, well, that's the guy that's the closest to kind of filling that gap. And we're just going to let him go make plays next to Matt Milano. I don't think, I know most people will say that linebacker is their biggest question for the season. I won't argue with you if you believe that. I just think it's a little overblown. I think Tremaine Edmonds was a really good player. I think they're going to miss him, but I think schematically they will be able to do enough where it really doesn't hurt them. And that's one of the reasons why I think they might kind of take a flyer on Dorian Williams.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying, because let me ask it this way. Rank to me the top 4 most important positions on an NFL football team to you.
To me, it would be quarterback 1, quarterback 2, quarterback 3, quarterback 4. It would be quarterback 1.
Not even it doesn't have to be in order. Just give me the top 4.
Quarterback, left tackle, cornerback, and then I would probably say edge rusher.
100% agree on those 4. We didn't say middle linebacker.
No.
See, what you're saying is right, I think, because of it's not a Dorian Williams point, it's a position point, right? Which is you can get by, you can get by with a rookie. You can let him. Could you get hurt? Absolutely. The Bills got hurt in that Jets game by not having Matt Milano and putting Terrell Bernard in. That happened. It wasn't the sole reason they lost the game. They couldn't score points on offense, of course, right? But we saw that they got hurt. But there is a big, big difference here, Matt. If you had to start a rookie that's unknown at, let's say Deion Dawkins walked in free agency the way that Tremaine Edmonds did, and we had the exact same situation playing out of middle linebacker.
Way different. Yes.
At left tackle or at edge rusher, which they've been searching for an edge rusher. Totally different than middle linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it also speaks to these guys are so early in their careers. So I'm not trying to provide extra criticism or bury anybody. There was nothing that Terrell Bernard did last year that makes me think he's got an inside track at the starting job. Tyrell Dodson's a little different. This is a very similar conversation with Tyrell Dodson, in my mind, to the conversation we had about Dane Jackson a couple weeks ago.
Right.
You believing that he will start opposite Trey White. To me, Tyrell Dodson is the guy they know. I think it's the guy they trust. I also don't think the upside matches what you will have with somebody like Dorian Williams. And when you're playing next to Matt Milano, I think you can be a little bit more risky. I think you can roll the dice a bit more because at least one of your guys is going to be taking care of everything. Use one of those young guys. If memory serves me correct, I think Tyrell Dodson's here on a 1-year deal. So we don't know what the future looks like for Tyrell Dodson here in Buffalo.
He's been on a 1-year deal since the end of the league, basically. But yes, you're right. It is. It's basically every year say, hey, we like you. We want you back. You got to prove yourself and you can play. You can be a backup, whatever. It's the same situation every year with him and again this year.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I could be so off base and we won't know. We probably won't even know in training camp because it's such a weird position to try and keep an eye on. I think it's one of those things we talked about the last episode. I bet Terrell Bernard starts a preseason game. I bet Tyrell Dodson starts a preseason game. I bet Dorian Williams starts a preseason game. We might not know until 8:15 on Monday, September 11th, who's starting at middle linebacker for the Bills. It felt like that last year with cornerback a little bit.
All right, before we move on to the next one, by the way, so our last stance on that was I say backup for Dorian Williams. Matt says starter for Dorian Williams. Before I get to the next one, you just brought up September 11th in New York. That's the Bills' Monday night game against the Jets. I just came back from New York City.
Yeah.
Family, we like to go there every year. We'd like to try and take in a Yankees game. It happened to be 2 Yankees games this year, July 4th. Cool experience going to the 4th of July Yankees game, just to be there and say, you're at Yankee Stadium on the 4th of July, the rendition of, they always do God Bless America in the 7th inning stretch before taking me out to the ball game. It was amazing just to be there. No fireworks. There was a day game. They don't really do that. But that was cool. What I do want to tell you, though, is, man, they have Jets fever in New York, Matt. I mean, I am looking at Aaron Rodgers jerseys everywhere in New York, and he's everywhere you turn. They're talking about the Jets, and you make conversation with people. And Oh yeah, oh yeah, we came from Buffalo. Oh yeah, big Bills fans. I'm actually one of the Bills radio announcers. Oh my God, really? Oh boy, Bills. What do you think about the Jets? It's not. Oh yeah, they'll give you a comment about the Bills, then they'll say, what do you think about the Jets?
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they're the off-season darling, right?
Uh-huh.
They're the team that's getting more love, more shine than any other team probably in the NFL for the addition of Aaron Rodgers. Totally makes sense. I think it's a bit overblown. I think the Jets are going to be a good team. I think they are a very legitimate contender to make the playoffs. I don't think they're better than the Bills. I don't think they're better than the Dolphins. I still think they're the third best team in the division. I could be completely wrong, but I think for them to be the best team in the division, Aaron Rodgers has to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think he's going to get to that. I think he's going to be so much better than what they had, but I still don't know if it's going to be enough to catapult them over the Bills and over the Dolphins.
And by the way, that's not to take any love away from the Giants, who are getting their own anyway. A lot of love for the Giants right now in New York City. They're feeling very good about their football teams. Not as much about their baseball teams the way they played lately, but they're feeling very good about their football teams. That said, do you like New York City? Do you like to go? We love it. We love walking New York City.
I like being in New York City for a couple days, and then I've had enough. New York City, I think, is a great place for me to visit. I think it would overwhelm me trying to live there, trying to operate day to day there. I think it's a fantastic place to go to for 2, 3, 4 days. I love New York during the holidays. I think New York during Christmas time is such a cool place to be.
Yep.
I like that we're going this year right at the beginning of the season. I think it's a very big stage to start the season on. I really do. I think for the last couple of years, the Bills have had these like grandiose ways of starting the season. This year, it's Monday Night Football against Aaron Rodgers. It's the game that everybody wants to see. Last year, obviously, starting the season. Yeah, I like New York City. It's not my favorite place to go, but I certainly enjoy it. I think we are spoiled in the AFC East with the travel schedule that we get every year because New York is awesome. I love Boston, and then Miami is Miami.
We love Boston as well. We love walking Boston. Shh, you're not supposed to say you love Boston when you're a Buffalo sports fan, right? I mean, but seriously, as much as I grew up despising Boston sports teams, the Bruins, the Patriots, the Red Sox, city is amazing. It's a great walkable city. New York is as well. I could spend a lot of time in both cities. I will tell you, though, I don't know if you've ever had this experience before we get to our next draft pick. We always stay right in the heart. We stayed near Times Square, like we always do. And at 1:45 a.m., the fire alarm went off in our hotel. There was a small electrical fire on the second floor, and we had to evacuate in the middle of New York City, Times Square at 2:15 in the morning.
Yeah, that's a pain in the butt. Nothing like that has ever happened to me. I'm glad it has never happened to me. That stinks. Let me ask you this.
But you make the best of it. So know what we did? I'm like, Max, my wife and Max are both there. I'm like, it's 2:30 in the morning. We're in Times Square. Let's go get a slice of pizza. That's what we did. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. Was it any good, or was it just crappy Times Square pizza?
Great. That was great. The pizza's always good. They have these signs: 99-cent pizza, 99-cent pizza. Bam! You get 2 slices in a can, 2 slices of cheese and a can of pop for $3, or 2 slices of pepperoni and a can of pop for $5. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but that pizza, the 99-cent pizza, is usually pretty terrible. Usually,
I didn't mind it at all. I just want you.
Okay.
Maybe it's because of the situation we're in.
Side tangent, real quick.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't want to speak for other people. When we get the schedule, we are looking at where are we going this year? What cities are we going to? I'm always looking at where's my favorite place to go. I would imagine I am born and raised in Western New York. I would imagine Buffalo is very low on the list for beat reporters and people around the NFL when they say, oh, they're going to Buffalo. That has nothing to do with the game. I think people probably just don't get excited for Buffalo like they get for some other places. Is the AFC East still, though, the best travel division in the league?
No, I think the NFC West would be Seattle.
That was the other one I was thinking.
San Francisco.
Arizona.
Yeah. I mean, you could even throw that one on the back burner. But, Matt, I actually disagree. I think from the reporters that I've talked to and spent time with and interviewing and have my show, they actually really like coming to Buffalo. What they don't like is coming to Buffalo in December. January.
Yeah, that's true.
They do really like coming to Buffalo, and they get excited. They want to come. They love the food.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You meet so many people who work around the industry, who work in different markets, who cover different teams. you can show anybody an incredible time in Buffalo for 48 hours. You can go and do some awesome stuff and eat some amazing food. It's the, oh no, we play the Bills in December. Like, we got to go deal with that. But from an actual, and also from a game experience standpoint, it is significantly better than a lot of other places in the National Football League, just because the vibe is great. A lot of people walk into it for the first time and they're like, oh my goodness. I remember talking to the guys from the Bengals, from the Cincinnati station that we have in Cincinnati for the playoff game. And they got here Wednesday or something. And they were like, this is crazy. They're like, this vibe is unbelievable. Yeah. I was like, every week, guys, every week. It is like nothing else in the NFL.
Let's get to the next draft pick. We're saying starter, backup, inactive on game day, meaning he makes the roster, but generally doesn't dress, or doesn't make the 53. They didn't have a 4th round pick. They did have a 5th round pick. Justin Shorter, the wide receiver out of Florida. Your turn. What do you think? Go first.
I think backup. I think I was leaning towards inactive on game day, but I think he has a role on special teams. So I'm going to say backup for right now, teetering between the two of them. And I'll lean a little bit towards backup because I could see him maybe sneaking his way on for some special team snaps.
I like your thoughts. I'm the same boat, just like I was for Dorian Williams, leaning one way or the other. It's between the two. But I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to say inactive on game day. I just don't think there's enough numbers at the wide receiver position to justify him. Now, you could tell me, but Sal, and I've said this. He's your replacement for Jay Kumaro. He's your gunner on punt team. Totally fair, totally fine. He gets a jersey. Even Brandon Beane said, we think this kid can get a jersey. That's why we drafted him. But at the end of the day, I don't know if you can really have those numbers. So I'm going to say inactive on game day. It feels a little to me like the Khalil Shakir situation of last year. Khalil wasn't a special teams player necessarily. But remember, opening night, your 5th round pick wide receiver did not dress. And I feel like this is the same with Justin Shorter. And then it's going to be, let's see where this goes with him along the way.
Yeah, that's probably right. I think I've seen a couple of people say out there that they think Justin Shorter is going to make an immediate impact. Maybe he will. I don't see that happening. I think Justin Shorter is going to be utilized very little offensively. I think if he's on the field this year, most of the time it's going to be for a special teams role. I mean, we go back to that thing, 192 targets. Of the 192 targets, what does Justin Shorter make of that? 15?
Yeah,
is that too much? Is that too much?
Too many. Yeah,
that might be too many. So
it is strictly special teams. And look, they don't have to keep a Taiwan Jones this year. He's not on the team. So you could take a guy from another position. That could be Justin Shorter. So I agree with you about all that, but you still have to have the numbers work out. And if you're looking at wide receiver, there's just you're gonna dress 7 on game day. I don't know if you can do that, right? So I think it's going to be tough because look at the wide receiver group right now. You have 6 wide receivers are going to play, right? Well, I guess 5. So let's just walk through it. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir is going to play, right? He's not going to be inactive again.
Yeah.
Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy. So that's 5. You could get to 6. That could be your 6th, I guess. I'm not missing anybody, am I? I don't think so.
I don't believe so. No, I think you hit all of them. Well, DeAndre Hopkins, you didn't mention him.
I did not mention DeAndre Hopkins. By the way, he was not at Bill's OTAs either or any of the mini camps. I'm looking now. Desmond Patton would be next on the list. But I guess the reason why I would count is because I'm thinking of Dalton Kincaid like a wide receiver here and how you're going to formulate the roster. So that's why I think that it's an uphill battle for him to be active on game day. So I'm going to say inactive on game day.
See, I'm almost thinking the opposite because I think you could get away with having 2 tight ends active pretty frequently with Kincaid and with Knox. And then you might give yourself a little bit. They also have to figure out running back. Is Latavius Murray on this team? Because every single week you're going to have James Cook active, Damian Harris active, and Naheem Hines active. At least I would imagine. So then, I don't know.
Look, DB. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that may be made there, and we'll get to one of those in just a minute. We got 2 draft picks left from the Bills draft class and where we think they're going to fit. All right, Matt, the next one is Nick Broker, offensive lineman. The Bills did a lot of work on their offensive line this offseason. Nick Broker gets drafted in the 7th round, their first of 2 7th-round picks out of Ole Miss. Is he a starter? Is he a backup? Is he inactive, or does he not make the 53?
Doesn't make the 53. I think this team is too good to just assume that draft picks make the team. That has not been the case for several years now. I don't think he will have any sort of trade value out there. So it's not like they could bring this guy to camp and then ultimately trade him for a pick down the road. This isn't like, obviously a Wyatt Teller situation or anything like that. So to me, I think he's probably a guy that you're able to get on your practice squad, let develop for a year, and then circle back next year to see how he has progressed and if he's ready to take that next step. I'm honestly thinking that for pretty much every 7th round pick for the next 5 or 6 years with this team.
Probably right. I agree completely. I don't think he makes the team. I think there are just too many bodies ahead of him and too many reasons to have older veteran players. And think about it. If you keep him, you're keeping 2 rookies at offensive line, out 2 rookie offensive linemen on the 53. I mean, that is a bit risky just in itself to say, as your depth, you're going with a couple of different rookies because Osiris Torrance is going to make the team. I mean, think about the names in front of him. Tommy Doyle, or he's competing with. Tommy Doyle, Ike Butker. I mean, Osiris Torrance is right there. David Questenberry, David Edwards, Greg Mance, Brandon Shell. And then you have guys that have been on the team already. Alec Anderson actually was elevated for a game last year. Ryan Vandermark, they claimed off waivers from the Colts last year. I mean, to me, it's just too many people in front of him to justify another rookie.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're spot on.
All right, let's go to Alex Austin. I think we'd both be in the same boat here. To me, this would be obviously is the last pick, but the lowest chance of anyone to make the roster. I don't have him making it.
I had to Google what their last draft pick was. I feel I don't know if it's just been that long or if I've got like dad brain right now, but I was sitting there and going, it was a cornerback from Oregon State, but I do not remember his name. So then I looked it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy. So honestly though, 6 out of 7, remembering 6 out of 7 is not terrible.
No, that's right. Alex Austin is his name, and I don't think there's any way that he makes it unless there's several injuries that force the Bills to say, hey, we got to keep this kid on the team. All right.
I just want to say though,
yeah,
if we would have had this conversation last year at this same time, we would have probably said the exact same thing about Christian Benford. So you never know.
Probably right. And then he started opening night.
That's what I'm saying.
We did know the situation with Tre'Davious White, but I still agree with you. It would have been okay, really, is this kid really going to make the team type of situation? He obviously made it, and he wound up being a starter. All right, before the show started, at Sal Sports, at Matt_Bove. By the way, why do you have the underscore? Is Matt Bove taken?
Yeah, Matt Bove was taken years and years and years ago. I think I made my Twitter in 2011. I made my Twitter strictly to follow the NHL trade deadline. That is why my Twitter exists. And then you get into the job that you have, and obviously you start to use it more and more. Are you on Threads? Have you made a Threads account yet?
I have made Threads. I tweeted today about Threads, and it's actually something I wrote down. I was going to have a conversation with you about today, and I said this could actually be way bigger of a conversation, so we don't have enough time. But my general feeling is this, Matt. I like Twitter. I don't want to leave Twitter. I don't get all involved in who owns it, what it means to people. But I respect everyone else who does. I totally get it. Like, if that's not your thing, you want to make a statement because someone owns it or someone bought it or however this is all going, that's totally fine. I just know I want my stuff to be read by an audience that needs to find me. So if that means I need to go to Threads, I'm going to have to do that. I hate having to create more social media accounts, but if that's what it takes, then that's what I'll do. I'm there, but I'm only there to make sure that I can still put some stuff there while I'm staying at Twitter as long as I can.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for the sake of just continuity, I think for the sake of an audience base that is built for both of us, I don't want to see Twitter vanish. I don't want to see Twitter phased out. But at the same time, you need to be accessible where people are.
That's
so
right.
If that means we have to have another social media channel, then so be it. We have to have another social media channel. That is part of the job. For us, it is a vehicle to get information to the people that follow us, the people that listen to us, read us, and watch us. And that's why I think it is really important. It's fascinating because it is something there are so many layers to this conversation. So many layers. So yeah, I made a Threads account. I think I don't know if it was the day it started, maybe the next day it started. It was really easy because it's partnered with Facebook and Instagram. So I just logged in and all of the stuff was already there. It's the same username for my Twitter, for my Instagram, for my Facebook. For
It's good. I was just going to ask you that. It's all Matt_Bove, right?
All Matt_Bove, which is a pain in the butt because the underscore throws some people off. Sometimes they don't know how to do it, but I think that there is something to be said about continuity across all of them. So I was like, you know what? I just want to keep this because I probably could have gotten something different on Threads, but I didn't want to even try and navigate that. Like I didn't want to be Matt Bove on one, Matt_Bove on one, or anything like that.
No, and I'm lucky. I got Sal Sports. I got it pretty early on Twitter, and it's a pretty easy username, and it fits me really well. So got that there, and then I got it on Instagram, which obviously it works on Threads, and I have a Sal Sports Facebook fan page as well, where I post articles and things like that I link people to, and news. And obviously Sal Sports on YouTube, which actually changed to Sal Sports. It wasn't taken. So I actually changed that recently to show this show. It's always Game Day in Buffalo. So here's some questions. I got one from Mark. Sorry. First of all, Mark says, Matt, he hopes your dad is doing well. Just wanted to give you a shout out.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Also, shout out to everybody who has reached out. We are hopeful, we are certainly not out of the woods, but we are trending in the right direction. So we were just hoping and praying for continued progress. But, a couple people have messaged me. Somebody sent me a message and was like, hey, I want to Venmo you for some coffees at the hospital. Like the generosity has been just so nice. Certainly nobody do that. I appreciate the offer. Nobody has to do that. So yeah, it's been really, really cool to see the support, and he appreciates it too, because he needs to be, lifted a little bit right now. It's been a really rough month. So I think he appreciates all the people reaching out, because it shows that, people are thinking about him as well.
Mark, he asks a specific question for you. Growing up in the Niagara Wheatfield area, did a young Matt Bove ever dine at Shimshak's restaurant and see Toronto from Lake Ontario? He said, I could never see it. Always thought that claim was bogus.
Yes, I've been to Shimshak's. No, the claim is not bogus. I can tell you that every single time I drive to the golf course that I play at, which is Niagara Frontier. It's up in Youngstown. I drive down Lewiston Hill, and on a clear day, you can, no questions asked, see the Toronto skyline perfectly. You can also see the Toronto skyline from the par 3 at Niagara Falls Country Club. I believe it is the 16th hole from the green. There's like a little gap in the trees, and you can look out and you can see the Toronto skyline. I also had a job as a camp counselor for the town of Cambria, which is a small little town up in Niagara County. And every Tuesday we had field trips to Fort Niagara for swim days. And you can see from Fort Niagara, this skyline of Toronto really clear. Like you can make out the buildings and stuff. So it is kind of cool to be driving 15 minutes from where I live and be, going down the hill and seeing the tower and everything and being like, wow, like, hey, the Blue Jays are playing right now, or something like that.
If you go to Niagara Falls Country Club and play golf, you could see the skyline of Toronto on a clear day. Buildings are small, but you can see it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No questions asked. It's not that far. I think the term is as the crow flies, right? So like an actual distance.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I think it's like less than 40 miles.
Something like that, right over the lake there. Christina says, hey guys, can you pass out any tips for training camp? We got tickets for 2 days and my boys are super excited. First of all, Christina, congratulations on you. I've heard way too many people trying to get tickets who can't get tickets. By the way, if you got free tickets and you're selling them, boo on you. Shame on you. Don't do that. If you got tickets and you intend on not going, if you can't go, give them to somebody who wants tickets. There's a lot of people out there who need tickets, who tried to get tickets, who can't get tickets. Don't sell them. That's just, I think it's a really bad look and horrible, Matt. So don't do that. That's my first tip.
Yeah.
That's not to Christina. That's for anybody.
Tips. That's an interesting one. I would say that if you're going with kids, you want to be a little bit strategic about where you're going, because you're probably going to want, the kids to either get to see the players up close or try and get autographs or something like that. So I always think that most of the time they practice on the grass field, right? Most of the time, the main grass field. I think that players tend to hang out on the side of the grandstand, that side, more than they hang out on the side of the track. I think you get a better view of practice from the track, but I think you get closer to the players on the other side. So if you were going, you can kind of accommodate accordingly. If you're there because you want to watch practice, you want to get a better view of things, and you're really not concerned about trying to get an autograph or something, I would go to the track side, the far side. if you're trying to, meet your favorite Bills player, then I would go to the side that has, I don't know, is grandstand the right
Well,
word? Like the big
yeah, with the
thing.
bleachers. Yeah, but I would say that too. My tip is exactly that. My tip is, if to get a better view of practice, go to the opposite side. Go to the open side. Go to the side where there's not the big bleachers. You'll see practice better. And you might not be as high, but you'll also have more room to walk around too. You can't really walk around on the other side. You have to go around the bleachers. So that's my tip if anybody's going to training camp to want to do that. Now, obviously, I'm saying this, it could wind up filling up more, but seriously, that's what you want to do. And also, I mean, the Bills store is so big, they put right there on campus. Go in there early, get your stuff done. I think you don't want to be caught up missing practice, because practice goes for an hour and 45 minutes, but you can. But I mean, like, get your stuff done. Either do it before, do it after, right? Because you're going to get caught up in there. And if you're with kids, they're going to want to spend time in there and see all the different merchandise and jerseys and things like that. So there's a lot of really cool things out in the parking lot area for kids to do, though. Take advantage of it. That's another tip. Like, just have fun, take advantage. We don't know when training camp's ever going to stop being at St. John Fisher, and they're only there for 10 practices for the public this time.
I walked the parking lot with all of the games. So last year we found out that we were having our daughter. We didn't know it was a daughter. We found out we were having our baby in late July, like a week before Bill's training camp started. And I remember walking through the parking lot with all the little kids there and being like, this would be so cool one day to bring our son or daughter to go experience that and, throw the little football through the inflatable Sammy Watkins that hasn't been removed, or the little putt that's in the front. And so, yeah, take advantage of that. I also think you're only a mile and a half away from Pittsford Dairy, which is an awesome spot for ice cream. So if you want to make a day out of it, ice cream can be a bit more affordable than going and sitting down and having a big meal somewhere. So you could go watch Bills practice, go grab an ice cream. And then if you're in Rochester, you go home, or if you're in Buffalo, then hop in the car and drive the hour, 15 minutes back.
Before we head on out of here, not as much of a question, but just something I want to touch on. Two really cool storylines over the weekend from the Buffalo Bills related. And one of them has been a continuing storyline. Damar Hamlin had his Chasing M's Foundation charity softball game in Pittsburgh. Really cool to see that. Stephon Diggs was there. Some other players were there. Very cool. And the other one, Matt, how about Jessica Pegula in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon? I read she is only the 5th American to ever get to the quarterfinals of every major, all 4 of them, in the last 25 years.
Yeah. And do you know who the other ones are?
I'd say, no, I don't. I don't know who the other ones are. I don't want to guess, because if I do, you'll say, Sal, that's not an American, or something like that.
There's one that I forgot. So I saw this stat, and I apologize for forgetting this, but I believe it is Venus Williams, Serena Williams, Jessica Pegula, Sloane Stephens, and then somebody else who is a really, really, really accomplished women's tennis player. So she is in elite company.
Amazing.
Maybe this is the year that she can push it a couple rounds further. It would be really sweet to watch her go to a major final, like to the final of one of the majors. And of all of them, I played tennis in high school, but I don't pretend to be like a huge tennis fan or anything like that. To me, Wimbledon is the equivalent of the Masters. For the casual fan, Wimbledon is the biggest tournament. So it would be really cool to continue to see her go on this run.
It's awesome. I hope it continues. She's 29 years old.
Yeah.
It's amazing. She's been way better later in her career than early, but she had some injuries, which is a big reason. But in that sport, to be 29 and playing at the level she is and getting better and ascending still, she's now the 4th-ranked player in the world right now.
Yeah.
I think it's just an amazing testament to how hard she's worked over the last several years.
Yeah, absolutely. And, she is a Buffalo native. I know that she did not spend her entire life in Buffalo, but I was thinking about this the other day when I was watching her play. She's a Buffalo native. You have Jonah Heim, who's having an unbelievable season as an all-star for a catcher. He's from Amherst. Patrick Kane's name is still getting floated out there as far as free agents are concerned. Listen, guys, he's not joining the Sabres. I don't think that's happening, but he might be the best American hockey player ever when his career is done. And he's from South Buffalo. The tight end university thing is happening the other week, and Gronk is there, another Western New York native. you go down, we're both on the board for the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame, and there are tons of incredible athletes from here, and not all of them are big household names like the guys we just mentioned, but it is cool to see all of the people we just talked about represent Western New York and on the national stage, on the biggest stages.
No doubt about it. All right, so we are recording this on a Monday night. I'm sorry, Sunday night. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Sunday night at 9 p.m. I am one half into, and I'm going to go now. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go watch the second half of a movie called Air. Have you watched Air yet?
No. What is it on? What stream? Because I really want to watch it. Is it on like Hulu or Prime?
I think it's Prime. I have to look. It's not Netflix. Hold on.
When it came out in theaters, I had said that I wanted to go see it, and I just never had the chance to go see it. So, ooh, that's exciting. Okay, well then I'll have to watch that maybe.
It is so far. I'm an hour in, and I love it. And I will tell you, I get upset at my wife because she knows I don't like this, but she did it. She watched it without me. Like she watched it on the plane ride to New York City, and I think finished on the way back. I'm like, what? You watched it without me? You don't watch movies without me. You got to watch it with me. Anyway, so now I'm watching it with her.
Can I end on one thing that's like really terrible to have to talk about, but I did want to mention it?
Of course, and I think I know what it is, but go right ahead. And we didn't plan for this, but I appreciate you bringing it up.
So, the last month has been certainly very difficult for our family with my dad and the health issues that he's had. And then you see something like Eddie was going through, and he passed away a couple days ago. We're recording this on Sunday. For those of you who don't know, Eddie was a big Bills fan. His father documented his journey on social media and used it as a platform to try and inspire others and help others who are going through, difficult battles of their own. And my heart just breaks for his family and for anybody who knew him. And now having a daughter of my own, I cannot imagine something happening to my child or anybody having to deal with that for their children. So I'm thinking of the family. I'm praying for the family. I know these days when people say thoughts and prayers, it's a little bit empty. It doesn't necessarily mean much. And I'm sorry I don't have more to say, but my heart breaks for that family, and I'm thinking of all of them.
Eddie Merrick is his name.
Yep.
His dad's name is Nick. You can find him on Twitter at Nick Merrick. There's a GoFundMe page for the family to help out. I know that I think Daryl and Janine Talley are involved with some of the fundraising there. With some other people from Bill's Mafia. I'm glad that you brought him up, and I know it's been a few days, but Eddie and the way that his family has handled this, his life, his journey, his end of life has been incredibly remarkable and strong. And I don't think I could have been as strong as they have been for everyone, for Eddie especially, in celebrating his life. And social media sees just an amazing little boy. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
I can't even find the words. I don't even know how somebody could handle that or do that.
Matt, we hope your dad is doing well. All of us.
Thank you.
And, and I know that you got a lot of people out there who are, thinking about him as well. So, we'll get an update about him next time we talk here. In the meantime, we want to thank Lucas Buckley, our producer, who does a great job always here on It's Always Game Day in Buffalo.
Shout out, Lucas.
You can find Matt at Matt_Bove. He is WKBW TV Channel 7. You can find me at Sal Sports. Yeah, that's right. Twitter, Threads. We're all on it, everything. Because we have to do that.
Follow us on Threads.
That's right. Meantime, we have more planned for you here in the off season before training camp starts in about 2 weeks over at St. John Fisher. It's going to be exciting. Thanks.
What's your most recent? How many Threads followers you got?
1,200.
Screw you, man.
What do you got?
Thought because I started it like a day before you that maybe I'd still have a little bit of a leg up on you because you got me not lapped on Twitter, not twice lapped on Twitter, probably like 3 times lapping me on Twitter. And I got a lot of people who follow me. Yours is just out of this world.
I'm at 165K on Twitter.
Not that on Threads yet, though?
No, just 1,200. What do you have on Threads?
It's like just under 1,000. It's funny, though. I haven't followed anybody, but I want my first follow to be something funny. but I just haven't thought of what it could be yet. Like I want, if you look at my profile and it says, this many followers following one, and then you click to see who the one person you're following is.
Yeah.
I would love for it to be something completely random and out there, like Cracker Barrel or like something ridiculous. And then you're like, why is he just following that one account?
All right. So we went off a little bit here at the end here. We're going to go, but now that you brought it up, what's crazy is on my Instagram, I only follow one account. That's WGR, because I don't really get into Instagram. I got to add my followers. I need to go to Instagram and start following people, and then I'll just have to transport over to Threads. That's how it's got to work for me.
Yeah. Well, that's how it's going to work for a lot of people. So as you build this follower base, maybe I can sneak by you.
And then, and you'll be one of my first follows on Instagram and Threads. So there you go.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll talk at you next time. And it's always game day in Buffalo.